In this lesson, we'll learn how to set up the perimeters for our sprite sheet. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to begin this course by setting up our sprite sheet. The sprite sheet will house all of the different sprites that will be used for the 2D top-down video game. These sprites include the vehicle, which we're going to begin working on in the next lesson, as well as the track tiles and any additional sprites or assets, if you will, that will be used for the game. So we want to go ahead and come up to File and go to New. And right here where it says inches, we want to go ahead and switch that to pixels. And this is where you want to get with your game designer to confirm the dimensions for the pixel width and height. In this case, I've gotten with Josh, who has given me the numerical value of 4096 width as well as the height. So we'll go ahead and click OK. And so now our canvas size has been set up for our sprite sheet. The next thing we want to do is place a grid, which will allow us to place all of our sprites accordingly, basically within different tiles or squares. So you want to come up to View, and then go to Show, and then choose Grid. And so this lays a grid over our canvas. Now what we need to do is adjust the size of these different squares that you basically see right here on our grid. So this is where you want to go up to Edit, and then go to Preferences. And this will be off of your screen, but on this second flyout menu, you want to come down and go to where it says Guides, Grid, and Slices. Okay? So this basically brings up your Preferences dialog box. You want to make sure that you have Guides, Grid, and Slices selected right there. Okay? I'm going to bring this off to the side though slightly so you can see the changes taking effect over here with the grid that we have. So we're going to be changing grid line and subdivisions right here. So what we want to do is switch this from inches to pixels first before changing these numerical values. So for each one of those squares, we want them to be 512 by 512 pixels. So we're going to change that from 1 to 512. And so basically we now see how those squares now look over here. So each one of these squares right here is going to house a sprite. And then subdivisions, we're going to go ahead and change this from 4 to 2. Okay, so instead of having each one of these squares divided by 4, they're divided by 2, and that gives you basically a nice little cross line right there, which is kind of a guide, can be really helpful when you're placing your sprites accordingly. So let's go ahead and click OK. So now our sprite sheet has been set up. And so later on, we're going to talk about how we can bring over our sprites and have them all snap right into their respective positions, basically within each one of these little square tiles. So we're going to have all the different iterations of our car sprites, any kind of damage or explosions, as well as the alternate vehicle and the track tiles and so forth. Those will all go on our sprite sheet. So starting in our next lesson, we're going to begin sketching out the design for our 2D top-down video games vehicle. So stick around and we'll see you in that lesson.